Tonight, Lynn Brewer a no-show at the first court hearing into an assault allegation made against her, and works to shift the Copper Coast Highway for an Aldi supermarket get underway.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. The Mayor of Whyalla, Lynn Brewer, didn't appear in court for her first scheduled hearing for an assault allegation today. It comes as her lawyers work to negotiate with prosecutors over the case. John Hunt has the details.
The Mayor was a no-show this morning at her first court date for assault allegations made against her by the wife of a fellow councillor and current candidate for the seat of Giles. It's alleged that Ms Brewer physically assaulted Angela Antonio, the wife of Tom Antonio, at last year's Remembrance Day ceremony. In a brief hearing this morning, her lawyer Matthew Rismondo asked for an adjournment as her legal team looks to discuss the charges with police prosecutors. It was uncontested by the prosecution. The magistrate also agreed, and the case was adjourned until April 24. Outside court, Mr Rismondo refused to go into any detail about the case or the client.
Oh, you're here for Mrs Brewer?
I'm just appearing on instructions from a partner in Adelaide.
Both Miss Antonio and Ms Brewer were lying low today, but the case attracted a few onlookers.
Bit surprised, yeah. She would have turned up. I thought she might have turned up at the courthouse, but neither one of them turned up, so it don't make a difference, I suppose.
In a statement this afternoon, Ms Brewer says she will defend herself against the charges levelled against her. She also says she didn't appear in court on the advice of her lawyers.
Police are appealing for witnesses to a crash in Whyalla on Friday night which killed a 14-year-old boy. Caleb Scott died when his bike collided with a truck at the intersection of Norrie Avenue and Gowrie Avenue. The driver of the truck was uninjured.
Police urge motorists and cyclists to remain vigilant and attentive at all times whilst on the road and ensure they adhere to the road laws.
Anyone with information about the crash is asked to contact Whyalla Police. Construction work has begun on shifting the Copper Coast Highway to make way for business developments. It'll also cater for the new Aldi store set to open in Kadena later this year, with reports the Port Pirie store isn't far behind.
Making way for a supermarket giant. The Copper Coast Council has begun works on its main highway to make room for a new Aldi store proposed for Kadena.
Through discussions with Council, we looked at if we were able to realign our main road, that would create some area for Aldi.
The highway will be moved to the south by its current road width, which will allow for the construction of the supermarket as well as sufficient car parking.
Moving that still within the road zoning, but moving it to the south slightly, and that creates two parcels of land, and we've been able to sell one of the parcels to Aldi.
The realignment coming at the hefty price of $1 million, but Council says it'll all be worth it in the end.
And we'll recoup our money out of it. All of that will be cost neutral because of the sale that we've been able to pass on to Aldi.
Council predicts the works will be finished in around 3 weeks, just in time to pass the new area over to Aldi for construction.
That allotment will be ready to pass over to Aldi, and Aldi are indicating that they'd like to be trading in their store before the end of the year.
Port Pirie will soon be home to an Aldi store as well. Construction work will begin here on the site on Wandera Road once the approval for final development has been granted. Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
There are fears more local jobs could be lost if the deadly POMS disease affecting oyster stocks makes its way to the Spencer Gulf. It follows last week's revelation that the disease was found in the Port River in Adelaide.
It's the oyster industry's worst fear realised.
Our routine monitoring detected POMS in a feral population of Pacific oysters.
Last week, feral oysters in the Port River were tested and found to carry the deadly POMS disease that decimated stocks in the east. So far in the Gulf, everything's been given the all clear.
We've tested over 2,500 oysters from our growing regions. None of them have tested positive.
The discovery will now enforce unprecedented biosecurity measures not seen before on our waters. There is now a complete standstill for any movement of commercial oyster stocks around the state, and a comprehensive ban on the collection of all shellfish from the Port River.
Recreational fishers can't collect any oysters, razorfish, mussels or cockles from the Port River.
The discovery follows 18 months of uncertainty for oyster growers on the state's west coast. It's estimated up to 70 jobs have already been lost in Coffin Bay, with fears now if the disease does spread, it would be catastrophic for the region.
It's a primary production sector, it's a big employer, and a lot of them are family businesses, so really vital for our small towns and communities.
Primary Industries is today developing a strategic plan to remove all feral Pacific oysters from the Port River in hopes of minimising the spread.
The outbreak's contained at this stage, and every effort is being made to keep it contained. Biosecurity is paramount.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
After the break, we put the issue of mining under the microscope as the state election campaign continues. That's next. An idea to introduce 45-degree angle parking in Broken Hill has been knocked back by Roads and Maritime Services. Council was hoping to bring in the slanted parking to accommodate more cars on Crystal Street once the new health centre is complete. But RMS raised safety concerns over the street's popularity as a state road and its use by road trains. The authority instead suggested off-road parking near the railway station and the Musicians Club. A mining company with an interest in cobalt says its project in Broken Hill could translate into a global business. With the international price for the mineral on the rise, a massive deposit near Thakkaringa could help boost the world's supplies for at least 20 years.
Cobalt is an essential component in lithium-ion batteries, meaning manufacturers of smartphones all the way to electric cars are in need of the mineral. The biggest supplier of cobalt is the Democratic Republic of Congo, which holds roughly 50% of the world's cobalt resources.
They're struggling in terms of their own economics, so they're asking their miners for greater taxes, greater contributions, and I suspect that's going to cause all sorts of problems in supply.
And that's where Cobalt Blue's Thakkaringa project, 20 kilometres south of Broken Hill, comes in.
We're very happy with the feasibility work that's coming along.
The company has conducted a major drilling campaign on site and estimates it has around 80,000 tonnes of the metal underground, meaning it has the potential to become one of the biggest global producers.
We also think it's the first of a number of years, potentially a decade or more of high demand.
With cobalt prices up 150% from last year, the company is aiming to be in production at the end of 2021.
It's almost a semi-precious metal in a way. It's getting priced such that a lot of new projects are potentially vying for that supply.
Cobalt Blue is currently talking to future technical and business partners in Asia and will be in town next week to meet local stakeholders. Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
Regional businesses operating in the mining, mineral and energy sectors across the region are set to boom. The state government has committed funding to increase opportunities for local firms to supply to major projects across the industry.
A 3-year commitment of funding from the state government.
I've been able to secure funding for the next 3 years at $60,000 per annum.
And this grant over 3 years will ensure we can keep doing that work.
Global Maintenance USG is set to continue promoting local businesses to help get regional suppliers within the mining and mineral industry.
That these local firms have the maximum opportunity to participate not only in the projects that are happening here in the Upper Spence Gulf and further north, but also in their long-term operations.
And regional suppliers are already being considered for major projects around the region.
At the moment we're working very closely with Oz Minerals on their Carrapateena project. We're very keen to get local suppliers as part of that project.
The more success Global Maintenance has in getting suppliers into the sector, regional businesses have a greater opportunity to grow.
There's a continuation and security to make certain to take onto account the emerging resource opportunities and the renewable energy opportunities. It's a great thing. The Upper Spencer Gulf in the next 2 or 3 years in particular is going to have a great transformation, as you can see it already.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Well, tonight we're continuing our coverage of the state election and how the major players are pitching their policies to the region. This evening our focus is on mining. It's a big employer in our region but has also been through a turbulent time over the last 4 years. Here's John Hunt.
From Carrapateena in the north to Iron Road in the south, minerals are a key part of the state's economy. Labor's Eddie Hughes says the industry deserves our support, but admits getting power costs down is necessary.
It's always going to be a mix, but the curve when it comes to the cost of electricity for both businesses and households is going to be down, down, down.
The Liberals have slammed the costs, saying it's hurting our potential to become a mining hub.
Needs a reliable power source. We can't have this power that goes off and so dear. We're the dearest in Australia for power. We've got to do something about that.
And training up a skilled workforce is another critical issue. Industry leaders raised concerns last year that demand was not meeting supply. The Liberals say they'll train more workers up.
I think one of the main things the industry is going to need is more young people trained up for our mechanics and our support staff and our workshops.
SA Best is committing to luring training courses away from Adelaide and into the regions.
We're keen to actually make sure that where the action's happening, where the business is happening, we can support those businesses.
As mining exploration increases, managing the balance between agriculture and mineral exploration is becoming a hot topic issue. SA Best will ban exploration on the best agricultural land in the state.
We only have approximately about 5% of prime agricultural land in South Australia, and we're very keen to protect that.
Labor will aim to strike a responsible balance between the two.
Both the pastoralists and the miners will come to we'll work together to get the best for the state.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
After the break, plans to revive an iconic rail line between Broken Hill and Silverton, but could it cost too much? Details next. The railway line linking Broken Hill and Silverton could soon spring back to life. An idea to re-engineer the tracks to boost tourism between the two towns has been floated, and locals are optimistic.
The Silverton train station hasn't seen a locomotive in nearly 50 years, but it still gets visitors to this day.
It was a huge loss to the community when the train stopped running through here.
As the local community looks to restore the old ticket office and goods shed, a train could soon be coming down the tracks. Local MP Kevin Humphreys has floated the idea of restoring the railway line to give more tourists a chance to visit, in the wake of a successful country music festival.
More availability for people, more people to get out here, but it gives people another option too, and hopefully it would make it more of an attraction too for people to come.
The railway was opened in 1888 at a cost of £126,000. A report into the cost of re-engineering the line was completed in 1995. The price tag for the track alone was estimated at over $6 million. The cost of maintaining it was put at $1.5 million annually.
That was just the track, not the locomotives and not the station buildings. It would be a great asset, a great tourism ploy for us all, but let's wait and see.
And locals still have plenty of questions before they're all aboard.
Where would it start? How much would it cost to build that infrastructure? And B, where would it finish?
In Silverton, Patrick Reinke, Southern Cross News.
To local cricket now, and Port Augusta held its grand final on Saturday with Corn and Central Stirling squaring off in a highly contested match. Amelia Simpson joins us now. Amelia, what a way to cap off the season. Top-ranking Centrals were knocked off their perch.
Yes, Fraser, Central Stirling has been staying on top throughout most of the season here in Port Augusta, with Corn trailing just behind. But a bit of an upset on grand final day, with fast bowling Corn taking out the premiership title for the second year in a row.
We're very lucky, some very naturally talented guys up in Corn, so that certainly helps.
Together, the team had a wealth of experience, but with absent players throughout the season, it was a turbulent year for the reigning champions.
They got off to a slow start this season, but as the results showed, once they get all their best players back, they're a formidable outfit.
46 runs to captain Alex Hosking and 39 to Scott Williams saw Quorn set a total of 172 for Central Stirling to snag victory. But their top order struggled to stay at the crease with Quorn's excellent bowling attack on point. 4 wickets to Liam Berry in a very tidy spell saw the side go back to back.
We were able to get a bit of continuity in the side in the last sort of 3 to 4 weeks, which really helped. And then coming out today, we've had a lot of guys with a lot of experience in the grand final day, which showed. Central Stirling are a young team. They'll be around the mark again, but we were very lucky we had that experience.
Central Stirling says they'll be back next season.
Not a bad result for the club. It's something to work on. We've still got a bit of youth in our team, so we'll persevere and hopefully have another crack next year.
Around the other leagues now, and finals cricket has commenced in Broken Hill. An amazing 118 not out from North's Tobias Hack guided the Bulldogs to a comfortable semi-final win over West. The Blue and White will now face Central in this weekend's grand final. In Port Pirie, some impressive bowling from Whyalla saw them hand Proprietary their first loss of the season. A great effort there. In Port Lincoln, Lincoln South dropped 3 wickets on their way to chasing down Waybacks, while Todd River and Charlton got wins there as well. And Central have earned a spot in Whyalla's grand final this Saturday, defeating Rupina by 61 runs. They'll face North in what will be a great game to watch. So Fraser, still plenty of cricket here to come over the next few weeks with 2 grand finals this weekend. I'll be back here tomorrow night with the rest of the sports results from around the region.
Thanks, Amelia. Amelia Simpson there. Well, stay with us. After the break, we'll have all the local weather details with Amy Stevenson. And Amy, are the autumn temperatures here to stay around the Gulf?
It was certainly a milder change around the Spencer Gulf today, Fraser. However, we haven't seen the last of those warmer summer temperatures just yet. I'll have all the details next. Welcome back. A mild 27 in Port Augusta today. Whyalla only reached a top of 24, while Port Lincoln was slightly cooler again with a top of 23. Broken Hill reached 28, while temperatures hovered in the 20s in all other centres. Checking the satellite, and despite the cloudy skies over the west of the state, conditions will stay dry, clearer skies elsewhere around South Australia. If you're planning on spending some time on the waters tomorrow, there will be southerly winds shifting southeasterly up to 30 knots. Seas will reach 2 metres and the sun will pop up at 7:10. Taking a look at tomorrow's conditions, and temperatures will slowly creep up. 30 in Port Augusta, while Whyalla will reach 27. Temperatures will remain slightly cooler in Port Lincoln with a top of 23. Temperatures in Woodna and Corn will hover in the high 20s and towards 30 degrees. A warmer day in Broken Hill and 31, while temperatures hovering in the high 20s and low 30s in all other districts. Looking towards the rest of the week, and the milder temperatures will remain in Port Lincoln with 23 on Tuesday before reaching 29 on Thursday. Temperatures will creep towards 33 on Friday in Cleve, while Woodna will see a top of 34 on Wednesday before 35 towards the weekend. Further up the Gulf, and Whyalla will creep up towards the mid-30s by the weekend and 34 on Friday. Port Augusta seeing a top of 33 on Thursday and a warmer 36 on Friday. Meanwhile, temperatures in Kadena will also hover in the high 20s to mid-30s. Temperatures in Port Pirie will also creep towards the mid-30s on Friday. Milder days in Clare with a top of 30 on Thursday and 33 on Friday. And Broken Hill can expect 29 on Wednesday before temperatures creep back up into the low 30s over Thursday and Friday. So Fraser, autumn is in full swing around the Spencer Gulf with some warmer days ahead.
A pleasant change indeed. Thank you, Amy. And that's the local news this Monday. Thanks for your company. Have a lovely evening. Good night.